with the whole subject. Dr. Leete, however, desired me to reflect, and I am ready to say that it is perhaps a sufficient reply to my objection, that the worker's livelihood is in no way dependent on his ranking, and anxiety for that never embitters his disappointments, that the working hours are short, the vacations regular, and that all emulation ceases at 45, with the attainment of middle life. There are 2 or 3 other points I ought to refer to, he added, to prevent your getting mistaken impressions. In the first place, you must understand that this system of preferment given the more efficient workers over the less so, in no way contravenes the fundamental idea of our social system that all who do their best are equally deserving, whether their best be great or small. I have shown that the system is arranged to encourage the weaker as well as the stronger with the hope of rising, while the fact that the stronger are selected for the leaders is in no way a reflection upon the weaker, but in the interest of the common weal. Do not imagine, either, because emulation is given free play as an incentive under our system, that we deem it a motive likely to appeal to the nobler sort of men, or worthy of them. Such as these find their motives within, not without, and measure their duty by their own endowments, not by those of others. So long as their achievement is proportioned to their powers, they would consider it preposterous to expect praise or blame because it chanced to be great or small. To such natures emulation appears philosophically absurd, and despicable in a moral aspect by its substitution of envy for admiration, and exultation for regret, in one's attitude toward the successes and the failures of others. But all men, even in the last year of the 20th century, are not of this high order, and the incentives to endeavour requisite for those who are not must be of a sort adapted to their inferior natures. For these, then, emulation of the keenest edge is provided as a constant spur. Those who need this motive will feel it. Those who are above its influence do not need it. I should not fail to mention, resumed the doctor, that for those too deficient in mental or bodily strength to be fairly graded with the main body of workers, we have a separate grade, unconnected with the others, a sort of invalid corps, the members of which are provided with a light class of tasks fitted to their strength. All are sick in mind and body, all are deaf and dumb, and lame and blind and crippled, and even are insane, belong to this invalid corps, and bear its insignia. The strongest often do nearly a man's work, the feeblest of course nothing, but none who can do anything are willing quite to give up. In their lucid intervals even our insane are eager to do what they can. That is a pretty idea of the invalid corps, I said. Even a barbarian from the 19th century can appreciate that. It is a very graceful way of disguising charity, and must be grateful to the feelings of its recipients. Charity? Repeated Dr. Leete. Did you suppose that we consider the incapable class we are talking of objects of charity? Why, naturally, I said, inasmuch as they are incapable of self-support. But here the doctor took me up quickly. Who is capable of self-support? He demanded. There is no such thing in a civilized society as self-support. In a state of society so barbarous as not even to know family cooperation, each individual may possibly support himself, though even then for a part of his life only. But from the moment that men begin to live together, and constitute even the rudest sort of society, self-support becomes impossible. As men grow more civilized, and the subdivision of occupations and services is carried out, a complex mutual dependence becomes the universal rule. Every man, however solitary may seem his occupation, is a member of a vast industrial partnership as large as the nation, as large as humanity. The necessity of mutual dependence should imply the duty and guarantee of mutual support, and that it did not in your day constituted the essential cruelty and unreason of your system. That may all be so, I replied, but it does not touch the case of those who are unable to contribute anything to the product of industry. Surely I told you this morning, at least I thought I did, replied Dr. Leete, that the right of a man to maintenance at the nation's table depends on the fact that he is a man, and not on the amount of health and strength he may have, so long as he does his best. You said so, I answered, but I supposed the rule applied only to the workers of different ability. Does it also hold of those who can do nothing at all? Are they not also men? I am to understand, then, that the lame, the blind, the sick, and the impotent are as well off as the most efficient and have the same income? Certainly, was the reply. The idea of charity on such a scale, I answered, would have made our most enthusiastic philanthropists gasp. If you had a sick brother at home, replied Dr. Leete, unable to work, would you feed him on less dainty food, and lodge and clothe him more poorly than yourself? More likely far you would give him the preference, nor would you think of calling it charity. Would not the word in that connection fill you with indignation? Of course, I replied, but the cases are not parallel. There is a sense, no doubt, in which all men are brothers, but this general sort of brotherhood is not to be compared, except for rhetorical purposes, to the brotherhood of blood, either as to its sentiment or its obligations. There speaks the 19th century, exclaimed Dr. Leete. Ah, Mr. West, there is no doubt as to the length of time that you slept. If I were to give you, in one sentence, a key to what may seem the mysteries of our civilization as compared with that of your age, I should say that it is the fact that the solidarity of the race and the brotherhood of men, which to you were but fine phrases, are, to our thinking and feeling, ties as real and as vital as physical fraternity. But even setting that consideration aside, I do not see why it so surprises you that those who cannot work are conceded the full right to live on the produce of those who can. Even in your day, the duty of military service for the protection of the nation, to which our industrial service corresponds, while obligatory on those able to discharge it, did not operate to deprive of the privileges of citizenship those who were unable. They stayed at home and were protected by those who fought, and nobody questioned their right to be, or thought less of them. So now the requirement of industrial service from those able to render it does not operate to deprive of the privileges of citizenship, which now implies the citizen's maintenance, him who cannot work. The worker is not a citizen because he works, but works because he is a citizen. As you recognize the duty of the strong to fight for the weak, we, now that fighting is gone by, recognize his duty to work for him. A solution which leaves an unaccounted for residuum is no solution at all, and our solution of the problem of human society would have been none at all had it left the lame, the sick, and the blind outside with the beasts, to fare as they might. Better far have left the strong and well unprovided for than these burdened ones, toward whom every heart must yearn, and for whom ease of mind and body should be provided, if for no others. Therefore it is, as I told you this morning, that the title of every man, woman, and child to the means of existence rests on no basis less plain, broad, and simple than the fact that they are fellows of one race, members of one human family. The only coin current is the image of God, and that is good for all we have. I think there is no feature of the civilization of your epoch so repugnant to modern ideas as the neglect with which you treated your dependent classes. Even if you had no pity, no feeling of brotherhood, how was it that you did not see that you were robbing the incapable class of their plain right, in leaving them unprovided for? I do not quite follow you there, I said. I admit the claim of this class to our pity, but how could they who produce nothing claim a share of the product as a right? How happened it, was Dr. Leete's reply, that your workers were able to produce more than so many savages would have done? Was it not wholly on account of the heritage of the past knowledge and achievements of the race, the machinery of society, thousands of years in contriving, found by you ready-made to your hand? How did you come to be possessors of this knowledge and this machinery, which represent 9 parts to 1 contributed by yourself in the value of your product? You inherited it, did you not? And were not these others, these unfortunate and crippled brothers whom you cast out, joint inheritors, co-heirs with you? What did you do with their share? Did you not rob them when you put them off with crusts, who were entitled to sit with the heirs, and did you not add insult to robbery when you called the crusts charity? Ah, Mr. West, Dr. Leete continued, as I did not respond, what I do not understand is, setting aside all considerations either of justice or brotherly feeling toward the crippled and defective, how the workers of your day could have had any heart for their work, knowing that their children or grandchildren, if unfortunate, would be deprived of the comforts and even necessities of life. It is a mystery